There's all kinds of stuff in here. This one is quite interesting. My goal has been to develop and then demonstrate a way of life that is good for the planet, good for society, and good for me. Jewelweed, touch me not, coming up. It's not just stuff. It's part of my body. All these plants out here, or my body is part of it, however you want to say it. That's the bottom line from which I constructed my life. My name is Joe Hollis, and I am a gardener. Yeah, let's go up the hill there. I live in the mountains of western North Carolina, right under the Black Mountains with Mount Mitchell, so I live right at the base of that. It's the piece of land I was, so to speak, assigned by the universe. This is a nice little clump of wasabi. Wasabi is actually a medicinal herb. There's another name for what I do, which is called permaculture. You could also put in plantain, you can put in chickweed. It's all about trying to interact with what's provided by the natural ecosystem to fulfill my needs. Sprouts are used as food. In particular, they go into soups. What I grow here at Mountain Gardens is a big variety of useful plants, either edible, medicinal. One of its common names is knitbone. This is almost always the #1 ingredient in a healing salve. Paper making, fiber, dye, on and on and on. What else we got in here? Some different kinds of Artemisia. So this is comfrey, and it's very high in protein, so it's very good to feed to animals. So that's what I have, a big mix of native plants and Asian plants and some European plants. In a cookbook, this would be called Chinese box thorn, all of which are likely to be able to grow here without a great deal of assistance. These pretty consistently pop open on Memorial Day. So we will see, because lots of bloom times are changing as the climate changes. What have I observed? Lots of changes. The weather is ever more problematic. It used to go down to 10 below every winter, and some years 15 below. It has not gotten to 0 in at least 10 years. We used to be probably a zone 5, and we're actually moving towards a zone 7. There's another peony coming into bloom. As a gardener, that's very interesting to me, because stuff that would never survive the winter before, now I can just leave it out there. So that's a plus, but it's much outweighed by the negative. One thing that's happened that's hugely dramatic is the loss of the hemlock, our biggest native evergreen tree. My entire garden was ringed around by hemlocks, and I designed the whole garden around these hemlocks. Well, all the hemlocks are gone. Killed by an insect called the hemlock woolly adelgid. They would not have been able to survive here back when we were zone 5, and it went down to 10 degrees below 0. And so this is where we get the name ramps. These are some ramps. So another example is ramps. It's a wild onion. They look kind of like tulips. And it has become very, very popular with chefs. And there'll be more popping up. It's a very conservative plant. But ramps are disappearing here. Many years they don't make seeds anymore. And my conclusion, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, is that they're not getting enough winter chill. And then the storms just have become more extreme and erratic, like some of the rains that we get. More hurricanes pushing up through here. Winds knocking stuff down, busting stuff. Wind is almost, you might say, a way of nature cleansing. And the winds are just going to get worse. Another factor is we're starting to have these little droughts, which we've never had. This is the thing I worry about the most, because I get my water out of the national forest, and when we're having a drought, it gets down to a teeny tiny trickle. 3 or 4 years ago, we had a serious drought. There was forest fires all around. Never been an issue for me before, but it is now, big time. And the implications just go on and on and on. With golden seal, you could also just cut this into several pieces. Taste them if you want, pass it around. My hope for the future of mountain gardens is that my work will carry on. Fresh tea is considered the best. I think most young people growing up don't know that there's any way to live on earth except get the best job you can, make the most money you can, live in the best neighborhood you can. The reason I'm growing it is because it's a very important antiviral. It's a great big root. It goes very, very deep. I'm trying to demonstrate a completely alternative way to live on Earth, which is, instead of bonding with the monetary system, bonding with the earth. So those are your two different options for a herbal aspirin. And I hope that's useful to future generations going forward. I showed you a wild yam up above. You would never think about eating wild yam. If we can find a way to live on Earth that's not messing it up, that's what I call a paradise garden.